Alright, I am recording in my original spot because it is very dark and gloomy outside today. What's up guys? Today I'm going to be going over the USA Weightlifting Level 1 course. And I wanted to go over this because I haven't seen a ton of videos out about it. I want to do a deep dive, a little bit of an analysis of the course, give you guys some tips in case you want to take it, and let you know why I took it in the first place. So I'll start with that last point. I wanted to take the course in the first place because I'm starting a coaching career, which if you guys haven't seen my other video talking about quitting my job, I am starting my own coaching business, and so I wanted to get all my certifications up so that I have a good background and so that people can trust me a little bit more. The course costs $500, which if you're new to certifications and taking courses, doesn't seem like too beefy of a price. If you come from a CrossFit background, you know that that course is $1,000, so this is a huge step down in price. I recently got my CSCS, which is a Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification, which is a pretty big deal in the strength and conditioning world. And that one ran me, I think, $450, so pretty comparable price. So anyways, I headed to the USA Weightlifting website, and I went to their bars website, which is like their login page. Man, I could go on and on about USA Weightlifting's websites. I don't know who designed these, but they are absolutely terrible, and they overhauled them a couple of years ago, and still they're just so hard to navigate. So anyways, I got registered for it, and I had a little bit of an issue because I had to update my membership. You can't take the course unless you have a coaching membership with USA Weightlifting. You can have an athlete plus coaching membership, you can have athlete only, you can have coaching only. I did athlete plus coach, so I had to re-up my membership, then pay for the course, and even then in the system, it made it sound like I was missing something, like I wasn't registered, something was wrong, I was having issues getting it all fixed. I was getting emails from USA Weightlifting saying I needed to fix something in the system. With your membership, you're also required to get certain education courses done. They're really quick, they're online, they're not a big deal. You can just take the quizzes, skip the information, and be done with it. So for example, they have anti-doping education, they have a referee certification if you want to do that as well. And there's kind of different categories of the anti-doping, like lift clean, RTP athlete, athlete advantage tutorial. So there's a couple different things. It's kind of complicated, a little confusing, so I wish they explained it a little bit better or had it laid out better on the website, but we move. I should mention too that to do these little sideline education courses, you have to go to a third website that USA Weightlifting has, which you are connected to through the bars website, and you go to this new website, which is laid out probably even worse than the bars website is. You finish these courses, and then also for the USA Level 1, they have all the information you need within this website. So it takes a little bit of maneuvering to get through, but then once you're there, you have all the course information. You can access the exam when the course is done, so on and so forth. And so apparently the issue was that because my membership wasn't going to renew until my previous membership expired, they had to go into the system, change the date so that it was renewed immediately, and then extend it just to compensate for the fact that I had paid for it. So anyways, 3 days before the course, I was all registered, everything was all good. Okay, that will be the end of my complaining because now I'm going to get into the course structure, and I actually really enjoyed this course, and I really enjoyed my instructor. My instructor for the course was Mark Canella, and he is the head coach at Columbus Weightlifting. Before taking the course, I hadn't heard his name before, but he is pretty involved in USA Weightlifting. He just, of course, isn't a super famous name like Piros Dimas. Anyways, I got to know him a little extra because I was the person who was picking him up from his Airbnb when he was visiting to take him to the course. And the course was actually held at my home gym, Milwaukee Barbell, which was super cool, super convenient for me, and it meant some of the money from the course goes to Milwaukee Barbell, so that's pretty sweet. As I took him to the course, we had a little bit of small talk, got to know each other a little bit, and then we got to the gym. So this was the start of day one. We were kind of hanging out for a little bit. We got there early, about 15 minutes, and people started to roll in, of course. I think we had about 12, 13 people in the course total. And so I want to give you a little bit more background on that too. This course was pretty much for beginners or intermediates. So I would actually probably arguably was the most advanced weightlifter taking this course. I think a lot of the people there just wanted the course under their belt so they could do some coaching of their own for fitness reasons, whether they're a CrossFit coach or whatever the case was, or for people who just wanted a little bit deeper understanding of weightlifting. But a lot of the course information I already knew. Once everyone was there, we got started with the course. And so what we started out doing was just letting Mark take us through a PowerPoint. I liked how Mark explained the PowerPoints as well. So he was able to succinctly put all the information together. He brought a point out. He was quick with it. He was exact. He didn't beat around the bush. He didn't get super deep into nuance, which I like nuance because I've been in the sport for so long. But for a true level 1 course, it made sense to do this. Do you remember that third website I was talking about? Once you get past bars, it's the one you access to see the course information. That one's called the USAW Learning Academy, and it's very different than the PowerPoint that was given to us by Mark. So I think Mark creates his own PowerPoint based on the information in the course. The information I access in the outline on the Learning Academy website is very disconnected. Everything has its own tab, and then you can access like a doc that has a quick description, and then maybe it has, oh, that's loud. And then maybe it'll have a couple other docs that explain it a little bit more, whether it links to a video or links to a couple PowerPoint slides. It is still different than what Mark gave us, and I do definitely prefer Mark's PowerPoint and Mark's structure over what they have in this Learning Academy website. So to be honest, I don't think I will, if at all ever, re-access the information on there because it's just a little disjointed and a little hard to process. So anyways, we're still on day 1. Mark's taking us through the PowerPoint. We get to a point where we start discussing weightlifting technique and how to approach different issues in lifts. And so at one point he actually has us grab bars, grab weights, and he has us work on these different drills and these progressions for the snatch, at least on the first day. USA Weightlifting has its own progression system for learning the snatch, the clean, and the jerk. And so he actually gave us a chart. I might be able to take a picture of it and then kind of put up a little screen of it so you guys can see it. But there's progressions of all the lifts, all the things you want to work on before you get to a full snatch, a full clean, and a split jerk. And of course, Mark starts taking us through these, and this is kind of the back half of what we're learning in the course. So we went through a good chunk of PowerPoint stuff. We did some Q&A stuff with Mark, and then we worked on the lifts. And day 2, we spent most of our time working on these lifts, working on these progressions, and he would actually stop the class, focus on one person, and totally correct all the things they had wrong. One thing at a time, of course, because that's good coaching. You don't want to throw too much at the athlete at once. He had my coach, Nate Stemo, come in as a bit of a demo for some of the movements. He was talking about different points of performance, different mechanical things, and then he would have us go and work on those on our own. So throughout day 2, we spent hours and hours on this. It was a very hot day. It was actually kind of terrible doing these lifts. Everyone was starting to improve a lot with their lifting. I, of course, had been lifting for a while, so I didn't have to change too much, but Mark did give me a couple tips of things I should be working on as well. But the main goal of this was to teach us how to correct somebody else. And so there were 2 more portions to the course on day 2. The next one was a little bit more PowerPoint stuff, where we actually had pre-recorded videos of other lifters doing lifts. We had to point out the biggest flaw, and then we had to point out what the most effective variation exercise would be to fix that issue. And so we did that a bunch of times. We kept going through different lifts, and then eventually at the very end of the course, he had us actually partner up with somebody and teach them a full progression of a lift, whether it was the jerk, clean, or snatch. We had to teach that person each variation, building up to the full movement, correct any poor technique, and then we flipped, other person would lift, correct that person, and then the course was over with. Something very important that I want to mention to you guys is that every nation has their own sort of methodology for teaching the Olympic lifts. Within the US, at least, I know each gym has its own methodology for teaching the lifts. And so I might go to my coach, Nate Stemo, and he'll say, all right, the very first thing I want you to do is hang power snatch. It's the first movement I want you to do. And then I go to another coach and he's going to say, I want you to do lift-offs from the floor. And so everyone has their own way of doing it. Everything works in some fashion. And through this course, you kind of learn what is USAW's way of teaching the lifts. And so that progression system I showed you is their way of teaching the lifts. And you're not bound by that entirely. You don't have to always use that in order to teach someone how to lift. And that's very important. I wanted to note that to you guys, because even Mark said there's different ways to teach people, but this is how USAW does it. There are, of course, universal things that everyone has to do in order to be a successful lifter. But there's other certain nuances that change up based on your limb lengths or whatever a coach really thinks is best for their athlete, whatever the case is. And so I think the level 2 course dives into the nuances a little bit more, and that's something that Mark mentioned, is level 2 is definitely more in depth in that case. Level 1 was pretty surface level. Okay, awesome. Got through the course. So now, how do you finish? How do you get your USAW cert? You have to take an exam. The exam portion is online. I think when I did the CrossFit course, the exam was in person. You do it on the end of day 2. This one's online. You have a week to finish it. I did it the same day, may as well, while the information is fresh. And I think I got like a 90% on the exam. The questions are relatively easy. Some of them have multiple correct answers, and you of course have to pick the most correct answer based on USAW's methodology. A lot of the questions were actually those same videos we saw in the PowerPoint correcting the technique, and you'd have to pick which answer most correlated to what they were doing wrong. And then you'd have another question, maybe it's the same video, and you have to now pick what lift variation should they do to correct said issue. And so every single question on the exam was multiple choice, which made it a little bit easier. I think there were 3 or 4 choices for each question, so nothing too crazy, not too bad. Actually, it was a pretty easy exam. I think it was probably easier than the CrossFit level 1, but again, I've been doing weightlifting for a long time, so I may be biased. Also, important thing to note, there were 30 questions, so not a super long exam, and that's something to keep in mind as well. A couple tips for you. The most important thing you should focus on during the course is the lift progressions and how to correct different technique issues, and pointing out what the biggest flaw is with a lift. And so I don't want to dive too deep into that right now and like try and explain to you how to do that. Just focus on it during the course. You will be totally fine. And I'm sure people aren't clicking on this video because they really need help passing their level 1. I'm sure people will click on this video because they want to know what it's like and they want to know if it's worth it. So let's discuss that. Is it worth it to get the USAW level 1? I think it is much more worth it to get this course than the CrossFit weightlifting course, in case you're into CrossFit. This is weightlifting specific. You truly learn weightlifting. If you're someone who's just an athlete, let's say you're a CrossFit athlete and you just want to get really good at CrossFit, you need to learn from experts in different fields in order to be good at CrossFit. I don't think you should learn everything you can from someone who is moderately good at everything. Learn something from an expert in weightlifting. Learn something from an expert in gymnastics. And this keys into that. Get the USAW level 1 cert for weightlifting instead of the CrossFit weightlifting cert. If they even still have it, I don't know if they do. Are you ever going to teach someone how to do Olympic lifts? Then yes, getting the USAW level 1 is a great idea. You should do that because it's going to give you a good base to go off of. Of course, you can get to level 2, you can just learn weightlifting yourself, whatever, but the level 1 is your base. That is necessary. I think it is a great idea to get this course if you're ever going to teach the Olympic lifts. If I'm a weightlifting athlete and I want to be the best weightlifter in the country, probably don't need the course. Probably just need a coach who can teach me things. Probably need to watch videos online about different things, get very involved in the sport, whatever. I don't think you need this course per se, because you're going to learn all of this in the first couple months of you lifting anyway. Do you need certifications next to your name so that you can look fancier and appear like you know things to other people? Get the damn course. That's pretty much what I did. I know my stuff, but the more courses I have, the more certs I have, the more experienced I look. And unfortunately, that's just the reality, but so be it. I have the course, I have my CSCS, and I have a degree. So I feel like I'm in a good spot personally with my certifications. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in some form. Most of it was just like my experience with the course, and I know I didn't really dive deep into what you should learn and what you should study and like how to be really good and learn this stuff for the exam, because you're not really going to need that information. You're going to get it from the course and you're going to pick up on it pretty quickly, especially if you're drilling the lifts. If you want a recommendation for an instructor, I think Mark would be a great instructor, although I know if you're getting the certification, you probably want to go to one that is a little bit closer to you, and who knows, there may not be one in your state and you have to travel for it. So be it, but I will say Mark Canella was a great instructor, and if you have him for your course, I hope you enjoy your time with him as well. Once again, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this. I'll see you guys in the next one.